Oliver Thornwell was at the pinnacle of his career. With an empire spanning multiple industries, he had amassed wealth beyond imagination. His name was synonymous with success, but it was also associated with arrogance and ruthlessness. Oliver was a man who believed that kindness was a weakness, and he treated those beneath him with contempt. Every morning, Oliver arrived at his towering office building in the heart of the city. His arrival was a spectacle: chauffeur-driven cars, a team of personal assistants, and a trail of bodyguards. He demanded perfection in every aspect of his life, and his employees were no exception. One sunny morning, as Oliver strode through the marble-floored lobby of his office, he noticed an elderly janitor, Henry, meticulously cleaning a spill. The sight annoyed him. In his eyes, such disruptions were intolerable. "How many times do I have to tell you to keep this place spotless?" Oliver's voice boomed across the lobby, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. "You're lucky you still have a job, old man." Henry looked up, his eyes filled with a quiet dignity that seemed out of place in such a moment. "I'm doing my best, sir. Sometimes accidents happen." Oliver scoffed and turned on his heel, leaving Henry to clean up the mess. He dismissed the encounter as just another insignificant interaction, a blip in his meticulously controlled world. Little did he know, this moment would be the catalyst for a transformation he never anticipated. In his office, Oliver was surrounded by luxury. Expensive art adorned the walls, and the latest technology filled the room. He relished in his power, but he was also isolated. His relationships were superficial, built on fear and respect rather than genuine connection. That evening, as Oliver sipped on a glass of vintage wine in his penthouse, he couldn't shake the image of Henry's dignified expression. It gnawed at him, a tiny crack in his otherwise impenetrable facade. He dismissed it as a fleeting thought, convinced that his life of power and wealth was all that mattered. Yet the next morning, as he strode through the lobby once more, he couldn't help but glance in Henry's direction. The elderly janitor was back at work, his demeanor calm and composed. Oliver shook his head and pushed the thought away, unaware that his life was about to change in ways he couldn't fathom. The weeks following Oliver's encounter with Henry were a blur of high-stakes meetings and business deals. Yet, amidst the flurry of activity, Oliver found himself increasingly distracted. The image of Henry's calm and dignified demeanor lingered in his mind, unsettling him in ways he couldn't quite understand. One evening, as Oliver was preparing to leave his office, his phone rang. It was his sister, Emily, and her voice was laced with urgency. "Oliver, you need to come to the hospital. Dad's had a heart attack. It's serious." A cold wave of fear washed over him. Oliver rushed to the hospital, where he found his father in the intensive care unit, surrounded by a maze of beeping monitors and IV drips. The doctors explained that his father's condition was critical, and they couldn't make any promises about his recovery. Days turned into weeks as Oliver kept vigil by his father's bedside. He felt an unfamiliar helplessness gnawing at him. In the sterile hospital corridors, his usual confidence and control seemed meaningless. One afternoon, as he sat alone in the waiting room, Henry's words came back to him. "Sometimes accidents happen." Desperate for solace, Oliver decided to seek out Henry. He remembered the janitor's wise and composed demeanor and hoped to find some guidance. Swallowing his pride, he returned to the office building and asked the staff for Henry's address. When Oliver arrived at Henry's modest home, he was greeted with a warm smile. "Mr. Thornwell, what brings you here?" Henry asked, surprised. Oliver hesitated before speaking. I need your help, Henry. My father is in the hospital, and I don't know how to handle this. You seem to have wisdom that I lacked. Can you help me?" Henry nodded and invited Oliver inside. Over cups of tea, Oliver poured out his heart, sharing his fears and vulnerabilities. Henry listened attentively, his calm presence a balm to Oliver's troubled mind. "Life has a way of teaching us what's truly important, Oliver," Henry said softly. "It's not about how much power or money you have. It's about how you treat others and the legacy you leave behind." Those words resonated deeply with Oliver. He realized that his relentless pursuit of success had left him isolated and emotionally bankrupt. Determined to change, he asked Henry to guide him through this difficult period. Henry agreed with a gentle smile. "You must be willing to learn and change, Oliver. This isn't just about finding comfort for yourself. It's about becoming a better person for those around you. Oliver nodded, accepting the challenge. Over the next few weeks, he spent hours with Henry, discussing life, values, and the importance of kindness. Henry shared stories from his own life, offering lessons on empathy and humility. Little by little, Oliver began to see the world through a different lens. The journey of transformation had begun, and with Henry's guidance, Oliver took his first steps toward redemption. Oliver's visits to Henry's home became a regular occurrence. At first, their conversations were tentative, with Oliver struggling to open up about his fears and insecurities. But Henry's patience and wisdom slowly drew out the softer side of the billionaire. One evening, as they sat in Henry's cozy living room, Oliver finally let his guard down. "Henry, I feel like my world is falling apart. My father's condition keeps deteriorating, and I don't know how to handle it. I'm used to having control, but now everything feels chaotic." Henry leaned back in his chair, considering Oliver's words. "Oliver, sometimes we need to step back and see the bigger picture. Life is not about holding on to control, but about finding balance and understanding what's truly important." Oliver listened intently, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. He turned to Henry for guidance on how to navigate this challenging period. Henry proposed a different approach to help Oliver gain perspective. "Why don't we spend some time in the community together? You'll see how small acts of kindness can create a ripple effect and change lives." Intrigued by the idea, Oliver agreed. Over the next few weeks, they volunteered at local shelters, helped organize community events, and mentored young professionals. Oliver witnessed firsthand the impact of empathy and compassion. He saw how Henry's quiet strength and wisdom touched the lives of those they helped. One day, as they walked through a nearby park, Henry pointed to a group of children playing. "You see those kids, Oliver? They find joy in the simplest things. They don't judge each other by wealth or status. That's the kind of purity we need to find in ourselves." Watching the children, Oliver felt a pang of longing. He realized that his ambition had robbed him of such simple joys. With Henry's guidance, he began to view the world through a different lens. Back at his office, Oliver started making meaningful changes. He treated his employees with newfound respect and kindness, surprising everyone with his transformation. Slowly but surely, his icy exterior began to melt, and he became a more compassionate leader. Henry's mentorship extended beyond philosophical discussions. He taught Oliver practical ways to incorporate kindness into his daily life. They worked side by side in community kitchens, distributed food to those in need, and spent time mentoring young entrepreneurs who lacked resources. Oliver saw the tangible impact of compassion and understood that leadership was not just about making profits, but also about uplifting others. The road to redemption was long, but Oliver was committed. With Henry by his side, he took each step with humility and grace, eager to make amends for his past mistakes. Oliver's journey was far from over, but for the first time, he felt a sense of purpose that went beyond wealth and power. As Oliver continued his journey towards redemption, he realized that actions spoke louder than words. With Henry's mentorship, he began implementing significant changes both in his personal life and at work. At the office, Oliver started by addressing his employees with genuine respect and appreciation. He held regular meetings to listen to their concerns and ideas, making a point to acknowledge their hard work and contributions. The atmosphere in the office began to shift, and employees who once feared Oliver now saw him as a supportive and empathetic leader. Oliver also took steps to give back to the community. He initiated charitable programs, funding scholarships for underprivileged students and supporting local shelters. He became actively involved in community service projects, often seen working alongside volunteers, helping to build homes, and distribute food to those in need. One day, Oliver decided to visit the local community center where Henry volunteered. He watched as Henry interacted with the children, teaching them valuable life skills and offering them a sense of hope. Inspired by Henry's selflessness, Oliver joined him in his efforts, using his resources to enhance the programs and provide more opportunities for the children. Oliver's personal life also underwent a transformation. He reconnected with his family, spending more time with his sister, Emily, and making amends for the years he had neglected them. He even reached out to old friends, seeking forgiveness and rebuilding those relationships. It wasn't an easy process, but Oliver was determined to make things right. Through all these changes, Henry remained a constant source of guidance and support. One evening, as they sat on a park bench, Oliver turned to Henry with gratitude in his eyes. "Henry, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me. You've shown me what it means to be truly wealthy, not in money, but in kindness and compassion." Henry smiled warmly. "Oliver, the credit goes to you. You chose to change, and that takes immense courage. Just remember to keep paying it forward." As Oliver's journey of redemption continued, he became a mentor to others, sharing his experiences and guiding them on their own paths to redemption. He established a foundation dedicated to promoting empathy, kindness, and community support. The once arrogant businessman had become a beacon of hope and inspiration. Oliver's story was no longer one of ruthless ambition, but of a man who had found his true purpose in life: to make the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. His journey had not only transformed his own life, but had also created a ripple effect, touching the lives of many others. Years had passed since Oliver Thornwell's journey of transformation began. He was no longer the ruthless businessman he once was. Instead, he had become a symbol of hope and compassion in his community. The changes he made had not only improved his own life, but also inspired countless others to pursue their own paths of redemption. Oliver's father's health had stabilized, and their relationship had never been stronger. Emily, his sister, often marveled at the profound change in her brother. The family bonds, once strained, were now fortified with love and understanding. In the business world, Oliver's company thrived under his empathetic leadership. Employees felt valued and respected, and the company culture was one of collaboration and mutual support. Oliver's commitment to ethical business practices had set a new standard in the industry. One sunny afternoon, Oliver found himself back at the community center where it had all started. Henry was organizing a charity event to raise funds for the local orphanage, and Oliver was eager to help. As they set up tables and decorations, Henry turned to Oliver with a proud smile. "You've come a long way, Oliver. I'm proud of the man you've become." Oliver nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, Henry. You've been my guiding light." The event was a resounding success, with the community coming together to support a worthy cause. As Oliver looked around at the smiling faces, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This was the life he had always wanted, a life filled with purpose and meaning. Later that evening, as the sun set and the event came to a close, Oliver took a moment to reflect on his journey. He realized that true wealth wasn't measured in money or power, but in the relationships he had built and the lives he had touched. With Henry by his side, Oliver knew that his journey was far from over. There were still many people to help, many lessons to learn, and many ways to make the world a better place. But for now, he was content with the new beginning he had created for himself. As he watched the last of the volunteers leave, Oliver smiled. He had found his true calling, not as a billionaire, but as a compassionate and empathetic leader, ready to continue his mission of kindness and redemption.